Good evening, brother. Good evening.
Good evening.
Well, look, man, I wanted to come on very briefly. I told you I didn't want to hold you very long, but there was some stuff, man, I was just thinking about, man, and it just, it popped in my head. And, I don't think people truly understand, Kev, when we say certain things and when we're talking about certain things, we're talking with a particular context. We're really talking with a particular context where we may have researched, reviewed, and one of the things that I found, we have had to do as adults is admit when we were a part of or in transactional political relationships with people who had done things to really hurt our way of life going forward. All right. And one of those things I talked to you about, and you mentioned it to me, which it blew my mind about the Smith-Munn Act. And then a few years ago, I believe it was 2012, it was changed a bit, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Changed a great deal to the point now where it allows the government to use the media to propagandize the American people. It's now legal to do that, correct?
Well, not only is it legal, I mean, the Smith-Munn Act allowed the activity to occur. It allowed the government to be able to participate with these entities to create propaganda, but it was never financed. Now, after Obama, it's financed. He actually allows the government now can finance propaganda. That's the dangerous part about it. And we've been propagandized since we've been born, but now it's up to date. Now the government can fund it. And what you've been seeing during this last 3 years, that government and business, right? That alignment is even deeper now because the government now is working hand in hand with the companies that they financed anyway. Like they finance Tesla, they finance Microsoft, they finance these companies. They make all their money there. They don't make their money in the marketplace with consumers. They do well, but they really make their money working for the government. So the government is in lockstep with them and now are even allowed to finance the propaganda. Everything you see on TV right now is finance propaganda. It's maximum sophisticated confusion. It is a lie. It is a repetitive energy, right? Is a repetitive energy to dumb you down. Where you even have people that are even trying to argue debates with what they hear on TV, right? So that's pretty interesting to me. So when you talk about this act, people don't understand how it was activated during the Obama administration, and it's tearing us apart. I mean, it is tearing us apart in this country because people don't understand. Every newspaper they read now is owned by a private corporation. Every news outlet they look at now is owned by a private corporation, and their partner is the American government. So when you talk about fascism, when you talk about socialism, when you talk about communism, we are living it right now. We are a fascist country, right? We are a socialist country. You see all of the things that are happening in our schools. You see all the things that are happening in our communities. We are all being propagandized. That's what it is. It is managing and controlling our consent. Somebody lost their job at one of the universities yesterday. Let me tell you how powerful this is. I don't even think Black Americans understand this. That the Second Amendment, the First Amendment, which gives us free speech, is eviscerated. These three professors were in a college and they were going back and forth on their private Twitter or private tweet. They were texting each other. So somebody got a hold of the text, or must have been a group text, sent it to the college, and they said they were being anti-Semitic because when somebody was up there giving a lecture, they didn't agree with it, and they were fired from their jobs. Listen, Brother Emmanuel, we don't have a country anymore. And Black America, if they can do that, right? Imagine what they're going to continue to do to everybody else in this country. And that's what I've been personally fighting back against. That kind of censorship, that kind of corporate control. Right? The managerial class, like we've all explained it over and over again, the corporatocracy, the deep state. You are now seeing the Smith Act in full action when you turn on your TV now. I'm talking about Fox, NBC, ABC, MSNBC, All of it's been corporatized to lie to you every day. And the Biden situation was it was the best example. They are engaged in treason, right? They're saying they lied to the American public and they propagandized it, manufactured consent. So that's why this act is so important. That's why people should look at it. And guess who financed it, though? Guess who signed off on financing it, though? A black president.
Brother Emmanuel.
Yes, sir. Good evening, my brother, and to your listening audience.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you being here this evening, man.
I am the only non-bald-headed guy on your show thus far this season. So, you know, I missed the last show, and I was hoping Brother Glenn would have been on here because I would have just took my cue ball and just knocked all three of y'all bald-headed guys in the side pocket. So I'm the hairy guy on the show. Fully headed. I'm the hairy guy on the show. So I just wanted to let you know.
And try to pick that hair. I know he's getting closer to us every day.
I just want to let you know. But you know what's very interesting, because I just came in on it, but what is very interesting what you were saying, Brother Kevin, is that, you know, I have a real problem, because like I always share with you, I don't have a dog in this fight, because my issue is that the black man in America is below the immigrant male that have come into our country, and they have not done anything thus far as it relates. I mean, they take issue with this reparations for the black man, but they have given reparations to everybody else. But when I want to touch on, you talked about the individuals on a college campus. Let's talk about the sister that interviewed on Black Radio last week, President Biden. And when she was interviewed by other media networks, she innocently told the truth. And she said that the questions was given to her by the White House. The questions was given to her. You can't just ask any questions. You have to ask, we're going to control the narrative. We're going to control the information and the conversation that you will have with the president.
Were those questions given to you by the White House, or did you have, or the campaign, or did you have to submit questions ahead of this interview?
The questions were sent to me for approval. I approved them.
Okay, so the White House sent the questions to you ahead of the interview?
Yes.
Okay.
I got several questions, 8 of them, and the 4 that were chosen were the ones that I approved.
Yeah, her station says they never approved of any of that, and Lawful Sanders is no longer with the company. The company says this practice of delegitimizing black voters' voices continues today. WURD Radio is not a mouthpiece for the Biden or any other administration. Internally, we will commit to reviewing our policies, procedures, and practices to reinforce independence and trust with our listeners. But mainstream media should do its own introspection to explore how they lost the trust of so many Americans, black Americans, chief among them.
So the sister was very honest about the questions. Well, they fired her for let it be known that the interview was a controlled interview. The messaging was very controlled. The propaganda was very controlled. So you are totally correct, because we got to understand something. We have been experiencing in this country and in this world, a global world, and especially, and it really went to a whole nother level, never seen among humanity before, and the ability to execute mind control. Mind control. I mean, just think about this. They had such control that what in the world does toilet paper and paper towels have to do with an epidemic? That people were rushing to the supermarket to get toilet paper. Now, they were full of crap that you use for toilet paper. Not that, maybe that's another messaging in that in itself. But the fact is that the store shelves was empty. You couldn't find toilet paper and paper towels. And so the ability, like it's like phrases, you know, it's they can just say certain words to a listening audience and it moves millions of people in their thoughts and in their thinking just like that. And it's like some of these, I'm gonna lay it like it is, you know, it's like some of these preachers in churches. They know what to say to activate people, to get them to jump up and run up down the aisles. Those that believe in Christendom and etc. And it's in every other belief. They know exactly what to say to get the response that they want from their audience. And you know, we all speak, you know, we do public speaking. And they always tell you, make sure you know your audience. So you structure your message to know your audience. Well, if we do it on this small level and they're controlling billions of dollars and people and human lives, then their messaging, man, is very significant, very effective, and they're able to use it over all media outlets. Why is it that a IT guy or AI guy from corporate America has an office in the White House?
Now, brother Manuel, I mean, you just brought it smooth in with the mind control aspect of it and how and talking about propaganda. You just brought me right to this point.
Wait a minute, somebody has a phone on somewhere. Wait a minute, somebody has a phone on somewhere.
Would it? I don't know. We're good now. But all right, we're good. So, but what I'm saying is the Telecommunications Act of 1996. Most people don't understand what that did. Could you elaborate for our viewership and explain? Because I say it, but people don't believe me. Maybe if they heard somebody else. Kevin, would you start and then Brother Manuel? Go ahead.
What they did was they corporatized, the news industry, right? Remember when we were growing up, the news business was actually controlled by families, right? And/or, individuals that were principled in a way that they were trying to explore real journalism and what it looks. But what Clinton did is that he opened that door. So that's why we have, Crafts, or the company that owns Kraft, that owns, I'm just giving as an example, that will own the Wall Street Journal, or that would own it. So they corporatized it. So he opened it wide. He opened up the doors wide open. He did the same thing with the banking industry. That's why we got the blowback with the 2008, 2009 when he deregulated the banking industry. Well, banks then were allowed to use your money, right, to be able to invest, and the byproduct of it it's called collateral damage. We were the collateral damage to them.
We're all bored now. But has it ever occurred to you, Wally, that the process that creates this boredom that we see in the world now may very well be a self-perpetuating, unconscious form of brainwashing created by a world totalitarian government based on money, and that all of this is much more dangerous than one thinks? And it's not just a question of individual survival, Wally, but that somebody who's bored is asleep, and somebody who's asleep will not say no? See, I keep meeting these people. I mean, just a few days ago, I met this man whom I greatly admire. He's a Swedish physicist, Gustav Bjornstrand, and he told me that he no longer watches television, he doesn't read newspapers, and he doesn't read magazines. He's completely cut them out of his life because he really does feel that we're living in some kind of Orwellian nightmare now, and that everything that you hear now contributes to turning you into a robot. And when I was at Findhorn, I met this extraordinary English tree expert who had devoted his life to saving trees. Just got back from Washington, lobbying to save the redwoods. He's 84 years old. He always travels with a backpack because he never knows where he's going to be tomorrow. And when I met him at Findhorn, he said to me, "Where are you from?" And I said, "New York." He said, "New York, yes, that's a very interesting place. Do you know a lot of New Yorkers who keep talking about the fact that they want to leave but never do?" And I said, "Oh, yes." And he said, "Why do you think they don't leave?" I gave him different banal theories. He said, "Oh, I don't think it's that way at all." He said, "I think that New York is the new model for the new concentration camp, where the camp has been built by the inmates themselves, and the inmates are the guards, and they have this pride in this thing they've built. They've built their own prison, and so they exist in a state of schizophrenia, where they are both guards and prisoners, and as a result, they no longer have, having been lobotomized, the capacity to leave the prison they've made, or to even see it as a prison." And then he went into his pocket and he took out a seed for a tree and he said, "This is a pine tree." He put it in my hand and he said, "Escape before it's too late." See, actually, for 2 or 3 years now, Chiquita and I have had this very unpleasant feeling that we really should get out. And we really should feel like Jews in Germany in the late 30s. Get out of here. Of course, the problem is where to go, because it seems quite obvious that the whole world is going in the same direction. See, I think it's quite possible that the 1960s represented the last burst of the human being before he was extinguished. And that this is the beginning of the rest of the future now, and that from now on there'll simply be all these robots walking around, feeling nothing, thinking nothing. And there'll be nobody left almost to remind them that there once was a species called a human being, with feelings and thoughts, and that history and memory are right now being erased, and soon nobody will really remember that life existed on the planet. We're bored. We're all bored now. But has it ever occurred to
we were the collateral damage. So that whole act, I mean, Clinton, when we go back to really evaluate the Clinton administration, I got to tell you, he was a scary dude. He gave it all up. He gave everything up to the corporate community. He gave everything up to the globalists, right? And what he did was he gave us pennies. He said, listen, I'm going to build these prisons. I'm going to put all y'all in there, and we're going to privatize them in Vanguard and BlackRock and State Street. They're going to control it, right? We're going to invest in those companies. So then we're going to buy the rap music. And then when we buy the rap music, we're going to demonize that and perpetrate anger and hate and criminality. So when they go out and act out, we're going to feed our prisons. But on the other end, I'm going to give y'all some money through the empowerment zone. And we're going to talk about incentivizing and rebuilding your cities because they've been blown out. But while we're doing that, we're going to then let the other group come in and they're going to invest. And they're going to own all your stuff anyway, because you don't really have the financial capacity to do it. We got screwed during the Clinton administration. I mean, enormously screwed. And I was a Clinton person. And when you learn something, I tell you, when I learned something different, I changed my mind. And that guy was horrible for this country. Don't get along with his wife, but he was horrible. So if you look at that act, right, it was a gateway to everything that we're seeing now. If you look at the banking industry, where you see Vanguard, State Street, and all of these hedge funds that are controlling the corporate, controlling the world and controlling business in the world, in every aspect of real estate, medicine, technology, and everything, they control it all.
I mean, Kevin, it's something else that, well, I think it's called, it's this, I call it, I mean, it's one entity that that owns and operates all of these companies. I think it's called is it BlackRock or Black?
There's a couple of funds, the hedge funds that control all of them. They all invest in them. They invest in Tesla. They invest in Microsoft. They own every one of these major companies that we see operationalizing. They own them. Huge shares, right? And that's with Saudi money. That's with Chinese money. So when you see people talking about America is fighting China, that's maximum sophisticated confusion. They're partners.
Yes.
They're partners. I mean, what are you talking about? China has all of our debt. They're partners. China is not an enemy of the United States of America. They're competitors. They don't want to blow up us like we don't want to blow up them because there won't be no money made. Right? Look at Russia. Russia now has created and realigned a whole new world. And guess what? They're going to win in the end because we have nothing. When I say we have nothing, our dollar has no value because the central banks have destroyed the value of the dollar because it's not backed up by anything. Now I'm trying to keep this as simple as possible. So
no. This is why I struggle with how we have, we have all these so-called misleaders, or I won't say the leaders because they're not fighting for they're not fighting for us, okay? But what I'm looking at, for an example, you talk about the rappers, you talk about the industry. We got to look at, we were taught by, when we had real leadership, we were taught to observe and understand the subliminal messaging and things, the underlining. But if you look at what just happened, and I mean, they keep saying Black Entertainment TV, BET Awards, or Black Entertainment Television. Ain't nothing black in consciousness in anything that they're doing. And if you look at the disgrace and the level of I call it the lack of morality in the most recent BET awards. I mean, if you're talking about the level of influence, I mean, it's just so sickening to see that we are allowing people still in this hour, in this day, to portray us and to be before our children, our families in such a way. I mean, the young ladies were on there, and when I say shaking and twerking and everything, and people sitting there and enjoying it as if it's okay.
A bigger disappointment every year. It's almost identical to the female 304 rap industry. It's something we used to be proud of that's been completely destroyed. And no, it didn't happen overnight. We've all been witnessing this race to the bottom for the longest now. Boondocks mocked all of this and basically laid out the plan for the network years ago. You have some people that's just realizing what's been happening the whole time. For those people, I say, hey, better late than never. Glad to see your eyes are open now, and you're obviously on the right side. From the tacky red carpet Magic City uniforms to Tiana Taylor clearly showing that she's always been a girl's girl, literally, if you know what I mean. And this overall disgusting agenda they're pushing on Black women and Black girls in the name of empowerment and women taking over, when in reality, they're propping up an agenda to not only destroy the Black community, but Black women themselves, they're signing up to be the face of the destruction. Sadly, their need for attention, money, power, and fame is how they all easily sold their souls and went along with the debauchery showcase for the whole world to see. We're going to get into it, but first.
Well, what you're seeing is the complete destruction of Black America. And that is the byproduct of what we've allowed to happen. And see, you are an anomaly in this system. Right? They are a construct in this system that we have to eviscerate, that we have to destroy.
You know, and it's just I want this. You know, you remember the sister? It's a beautiful sister. I think her last name was Tucker, Connie Tucker. And back in the 80s and 90s, and she came out. She was out of Philadelphia. She came out and she was attacking the behavior of hip hop and rap and what have you, and she prophesied then that this day was going to come.
I am here to put the nation on notice that violence perpetuated against women through the music industry in the forms of gangster rap and misogynist lyrics will not be tolerated any longer. Principle must come before profit.
You know, if we don't stop it, we are going to lose generations after generations through this foolishness.
Well, this is a system they created. I mean, we've allowed it. I mean, look at what our kids are talking about as opposed to learning a second language. Look what our young people are talking about. Oh, I got to get rich. I got to get my bag. What's up, dog? What's up, N-word? What's up? And it's all incorporated and ingrained in that music, right?
Their second language is cussing.
Yeah.
And their second language is built in deception and deceit and lying.
And I had to come on here and address a problem real quick. I'm down here in Dallas right now. One of my sons had an AAU tournament, and today we lost in the semifinals to a great Memphis team. Memphis Prep, shout out to y'all. Man, y'all did y'all thing. Y'all played the right way. Y'all actually had the right grade. Y'all didn't try to cheat the system. That's another story, okay? But I don't know what's going on with this AAU basketball no more, because when I was playing, these type of things that I witnessed over this weekend, this wasn't going down when I was playing. They had 2 fights break out today in the gym, and parents fighting in the stands in front of kids that's running around the gym and playing. They got parents fighting, teams getting disqualified, teams cheating, and the older kids and bringing them down to play in younger groups, all to win a trophy. All to win a trophy? What are you teaching your kids, man? What are y'all teaching y'all kids? Y'all sure ain't teaching them to have no certain type of morals or no competitive spirit. Y'all teaching them how to cheat. And then on top of that, I'm hearing kids curse kids out on the court. I'm talking about 10, 11, and 9-year-olds. And you got to be learning that from the crib. Because if my son say anything or my son say anything out of character, it's going to be me and them.
Well, but here's the thing that I think that, you know, by having these conversations, I call them my therapy sessions, is that we can explore some of these things that people are feeling anyway, right? So I think what happened after the BET Awards, I saw a lot of people online saying enough of this. Something magically is happening. I'm trying to be optimistic too. People are saying, oh no, we're not doing that anymore. That's over for us. You know what I mean? We're done. You know, and I've been hearing a lot of people saying that we will not be depicted this way. Like I told Anton, I said, Anton, any black man that gets up and does anything and uses the word N-word in it, I'm turning it off. If you call me a dog, I'm going to sue your ass because I'm not a dog. That's what they call it, right? So we call each other, what's up, dog? You know, I mean, we take all of what they threw on us and degraded us and destroyed our humanity, and now we're using it as some sort of way to communicate with each other in an endearing way. And then you want to have some psychobabble nut say, well, brother, I ain't really upset with the word nigga. Oh, yes, I am. Yeah, I am upset about it. You should not be using that word under no circumstances. Under no circumstances should you be using that word. Now, in your household, I know I've been around other cultures and they say things, but they don't use that as a uniform way of communicating with each other. Right? And now our children are communicating with each other. Now our kids are out here acting out that way. So watch how this sound, right? Y'all with me? Yes, sir. Yo, I'm a real nigga.
Just listen.
It sounds crazy, right? Yeah. Yo, I'm the realest nigga around here, for real. Like, everyone knows. Now, if I watch I switch, I'm a real god. Right. See, words have power in that. The nigga word didn't have it, but when I say I'm a god, I'm a king. I'm the best. I'm the powerful. Words have power. That's right. Move different now, right? That's right. The nigga word is dead. It didn't have no electrical energy to it. That's right. All right? Think after me. I am a god. I am a god. I am a god. I am a god. God just needs force and power, right? That's right. Make it happen. That's right. So you making it happen. That's right. Force and power. I have an idea. I fulfill the idea. All right. So if you look at the Telecommunications Act, if you look at the Smith-Mundt Act, it's all a part of this one system. And we don't spend enough time trying to look at what that system is. We're just, you know, moving in and out of it, thinking that we're going to get something out of it or get some success out of it, when in fact, you're just a part of the system too. And seeing persons like yourself, you're an anomaly. So they got to erase you out of the system because you're now a problem. That's what they did to Malcolm. That's what they did to Martin. That's what they did to John F. Kennedy. That's what they did to so many great men and women. They might not have assassinated them, but they assassinated them because the system crushed them when they were trying to tell the people the truth. You know,
they have been masters at character assassination of those that they fear. It goes back. It's still going to go back in regards. We here sitting as black men talking, and this is one of the most fearful conversations that they will want to hear when we start talking about how we refuse to be a part of this, their plan to oppress us and to continue to oppress us. I mean, if you look at, let's case in point, I've never been to any of the brothers' parties. I never was invited to any of his parties, but you know, there was a time all they were pushing to you in terms of success for our young folks was P. Diddy. That's what they were pushing up in front of them. And so now now that their life is being exposed, and it appears that now the system is going after them or looking into them, him, Jay-Z, whomever. You feel what I'm saying? So, but look at all the destruction that they have have promoted. Look at all of the defecation that has been a center point in them making their wealth. And
I just told you a little while ago, these leaders that they call leaders, this included Lena Horne, this included Dick Gregory, and this included comedians, comics, trumpet players, baseball players. Show me in the white community where a comedian is a white leader. Show me in the white community where a singer is a white leader, or a dancer or a trumpet player is a white leader. These aren't leaders. These are puppets and clowns that have been set up over the white community and over the black community by the white community and have been made celebrities and usually say exactly what they know that the white man wants to hear.
So we have to be very mindful and see, we got to keep teaching to people get it, Kevin. And that's the most challenging thing, is to get our people to open their eyes and to think objectively. Be objective in your thinking. Be mindful of having some principle attached to it. Have some principles attached to what you're doing, because this system is clear. It's clear, and you can look at it. You can see it on the news. You can see it on TV programs. You can see it in the movies. People got to understand, right? There is a reason why the Pentagon, and you can Google this and you can check it out, spends billions of dollars producing movies through Hollywood.
Yeah.
There's a reason for that. Why would the U.S. government but have a budget in the Pentagon? Think about what I'm saying, where they go and they meet with the producers in Hollywood and the movie industries and the TV programs, and they produce programs for messaging to the wider American society. To do what? Why would the Pentagon, that fights wars, produce movies in Hollywood?
Did you know the Pentagon helped produce The Karate Kid, Iron Man, King Kong, Twister, Transformers, Star Trek, Silence of the Lambs, Indiana Jones, Jurassic Park, and Pitch Perfect? The Department of Defense used to be loud and proud about their film partnerships, literally tweeting in 2018, "Did you know the DoD works with Hollywood? #CoolJobs," and posting selfies with Woody Harrelson on their official website. But something changed last week. The DoD's main article on the topic, which appears as the #1 search result for Pentagon Hollywood, was taken down. I contacted the DoD for comment, but in the meantime, I found a separate copy buried in their archives. While we wait for that mystery to unfold, let's take a look at why the Pentagon says they've been, quote, working with filmmakers for nearly 100 years. Reasons include accurately depicting military stories, protecting sensitive information, and providing access to resources. But media scholars worry the government exerts way more control than anyone realizes, stating, quote, what we found through Freedom of Information Act requests is that thousands upon thousands upon thousands of products have been affected and are often rewritten at script level by the national security state. Other big names on the list? Planet of the Apes, Mission Impossible, Armageddon, Moneyball, The Price is Right, Top Gun, Godzilla, Captain America, James Bond, Jeopardy, and even Ernest Saves Christmas. But it gets worse, because the US isn't the only government involved. The Epic Times just released a new documentary called Hollywood Takeover, China's Control in the Film Industry, exposing significant Chinese influence in movies ranging from Red Dawn and 7 Years in Tibet to Disney's Mulan. I highly recommend watching the full documentary. I have it.
So say you're a producer and you want to make a war film.
You would walk into the entertainment liaison office in downtown Los Angeles.
You say, I want to film an Air Force base, or I want an aircraft carrier, or I want some Black Hawk helicopters, or whatever it is.
And they would tell you straight away, give us your entire script.
And we've worked with Mr. Bay here since Armageddon, if I'm not mistaken, and hope to do more of the same. I've got a direct line to the Pentagon.
Some people probably would say, well, yeah, I've heard of this, like, Top Gun, maybe Black Hawk Down, maybe some of the Marvel series.
But what they don't know is how systematic this has been and how huge this operation has been.
You can call it censorship, you can call it propaganda. It's all of these things.
Now these Freedom of Information requests that have been successful allow us to actually look at that list, and it's stunning.
What we've found is that thousands upon thousands upon thousands of products have been affected and are often rewritten at script level by the national security state in the United States. Do normal people know about that? No, of course they don't.
guys know that the Pentagon exerts a ton of power over Hollywood, right? Yesterday I talked about Top Gun and the interactions between its producers and the Pentagon, but that is not uncommon. Basically, if any television show, film, or even to some extent video games uses the property of the U.S. military, then you can be assured that the U.S. military has approved that script, because they don't let people make films with their stuff unless it has been approved by Pentagon politicians, Pentagon propagandists, what have you. This is a much more common thing than you would think, and in a lot of ways, it's a lot more influential in shaping people's attitudes towards the military than any news broadcast. So you guys...
Well, you're talking, this has been going on since the 40s and 50s. I mean, they've been propagandizing us since then. I mean, even probably before that. The military, here's the deal. All of these people that we see as successful people, all of them are being paid by the government. They're government employers. When people talk to me about Musk, I see he's a government employer. When people talk to me about Oracle, they're government employees, right? That's what I'm government employees. So all of this is intertwined in what you're saying. But for Black Americans, we have to shake off the cobwebs about what's in our brains and start to really open up our minds. What's that part in The Wiz? The second Wiz, Diana Ross, when she was trying to act like she was 16 and she was 90. When they said Brand New Day, they sung that song, Brand New Day, and they took off that skin, right? We got to take off that skin of what has happened to us and start to reveal what our true power is, so we can get to the source of creating the change that we need to change. And you can't change it by emulating them. You can't change it by embracing their theology. You can't change it by embracing their religion. You have to go back to the source, where your breath, where your breathing connects you to a different consciousness, which leads you to do some incredible things in your personal life and your family life and your life as a part of this group.
And see, this is where I think in our participation in this process, like, our community, in terms of the Black community, need to understand why setting policy is so important. Setting laws and being active, involved in policy decisions where, all politics actually is local, but you got to understand how to set policy through the school systems, through City Hall, through your council, through your county executive's office, and things in that nature, because through policy, you can affect things and you can make things happen. So yes, when you look at these banks who are making billions of dollars, well, when it looked like the banks was going to crash, Bush was in the White House. He brought McCain in there, right? And he brought Obama and set them down at the table because they were fighting for the general election against each other. But what happened? You need to have an understanding about, we got to take care of the banks. So because we're going to take care of the banks, this is the application for the banks. One-sided paper, 3 paragraphs. And we're going to bail out the banks because the banks work for us. So we're going to bail out the banks. But we can't go and get that same paper with 3 paragraphs and get billions of dollars. And it's just it was one sheet of paper. Let me go to another point. Same thing of bailing out the airline industries and etc. But there's no bailout for us. And that is because they want to keep you where you are and they want to suppress you.
I want to thank the leaders of the House and the Senate for coming. I appreciate our presidential candidates for being here as well. We're in a serious economic crisis in the country, and if we don't pass a piece of legislation, I want to thank the spirit of bipartisan cooperation that's taking place here in Washington.
Members for working long hours like they've been doing to come up with a solution that's bipartisan and that'll solve the problem. Thank you very much.
One thing the American people have to know is that all of us around the table take this issue very seriously. and we know we've got to get something done as quickly as possible. And this meeting is an attempt to move the process forward. My hope is that we can reach an agreement very shortly. I want to thank the Secretary of the Treasury for working hard with the members. I thank the members for working long hours like they've been doing to come up with a solution that's bipartisan and that'll solve the problem. Thank you very much. My hope is that we can reach an agreement very shortly.
So then they use these talking heads to be, as you would say, their gatekeepers. So they don't want this out there. They don't want Anton talking like this and exposing what he exposed on the local level in the educational system. They don't want that. And that's billions of dollars when you add up the city budget, the county budget, the housing budget in your city and how that goes about. And then when you get federal grants and subsidies to come in. So they don't want you, they want you to stay stupid. They want you to stay in the dark.
About 3.5 billion to be exact, too. About 3.5 billion to be exact between the North Elizabeth government, the housing authority, and school boards. About 3.5 billion.
So what I'm saying is just think about what that adds up when you think countywide, statewide, region-wide, and national. So they have a network that I don't care, both parties. You know, one is no different than the other because at the end of the day, the power and one party win, the other don't, they still go back in the room.
Just say at the local level, from a public policy perspective, there is no public policy discussion at the local level. They don't understand that that $2.5 billion is an emerging market. I mean, think about that for a second.
Something blocked me off.
That's okay, man.
Hey, look what we talking about. Everybody gonna try to block us off.
What you said, Brother Emmanuel, is quite interesting because your average elected official that's in office right now doesn't even know what public policy is and how to effectuate effective public policy to help their group or help their city or help their municipality. So right there, just think about it. We don't choose leaders, right, that can assess and evaluate and then develop a bigger and bolder plan. We actually, our people are emotional deviants. That's
why they use
emotion.
This is why you go back to the mind control. They throw out here, oh, this guy's a racist, or this guy's a bigot, or this guy is this, that, and the other, right? That's why do you honestly believe? I ask people, why do you think they're called lobbyists? And why do you think lobbyists donate millions of dollars in these political campaigns on all levels? Why are they called lobbyists? Because they're lobbying for policies. And they know if they get this policy in place, they about to rank up a whole lot of money.
Well,
That's the only reason why they do it.
Lobbyists' job to influence government officials to get them to adopt policies that are favorable to their clients. And those clients can range from big corporations, trade associations, unions, nonprofits. Now, the term goes way back to when people would literally wait in the lobbies of government offices to try to catch lawmakers' ear. At its core, it's a way for citizens to petition the government for a redress of grievances, which is a right that's protected by the First Amendment. Okay, so that's what lobbyists are, but are they bad? So a lot of the critiques of lobbying come down to how money is involved in the process. It's totally legal for lobbyists to throw big fundraisers for politicians, and they themselves can actually personally donate to campaigns. And there are thousands of different groups that either have lobbyists working directly for them or hire lobbyists from big lobbying firms. Even reptiles have lobbyists. Now, my gut is telling me that all this money changing hands is a little fishy. What's that gut? Yeah, I hear you. And I'm gonna get to the bottom.
First come out, the Black Caucus. I mean, they're the best employees of the Corporation of White Supremacy ever. I think people need to understand what their job is. It's not to move our people forward. It is to manage us for the corporatocracy or for the globalists, because they want us to those Negro whisperers' job is to suppress our voice, right? Because they don't want to hear dissent. Because if you dissent, they got to work against you. So some young lady that I know really well, it's not some young lady, her name is April Chapman. She came up with this whole narrative, moving from Jim Crow to Jerome Crow. I thought it was I sent it to you, brother. You got to really how she broke it down. We don't have to worry about the Ku Klux Klan anymore. We have to worry about our people that are in blackface, not whiteface, but in blackface. And the Jerome Crow, those are the people that are sitting in the middle of, in the gap for us, that's every day exposing us to white supremacy at a level that we can never even imagine, because it's much more subtle now, right? But Jerome Crow, those people, those black Negro whisperers, those black gatekeepers, those black dogs for oligarchs, those are the ones that are operationalizing like the Ku Klux Klan now. Because if you and I say we're not with them, they use the full force of their power and their connection to the corporation of white supremacy to suppress you. So that's blackface. That's the new blackface. Never forget the whiteface. That's the new blackface. The Black Caucus, the NAACP, Al Sharpton, and other people like that. There's a whole tribe of them. There's a tribe of those people. And I thought that was a very good twist on Jim Crow. Jim Crow was activated by policy. Jim Crow was activated by the Democratic Party. Jim Crow was activated by the Ku Klux Klan. Jim Crow was operated by the Dixiecrats, right? And black people now have operationalized themselves in the new the Jerome Crow. I thought it's the way she explained it was brilliant. And she showed Clyburn, and what's the guy from Django? What's his name?
Samuel Jackson.
What was the role that he played?
Samuel Jackson. Samuel Jackson played
Steven. So they show Clyburn and Steven, man, they look alike. And they start, well, we got to protect Biden. We got to protect our master. We got to protect it. That was deep. So she called it Jerome Crow. I want to call her because I thought it was brilliant. I said, oh my God, this is brilliant.
That's Jerome Crow at work. Take a look at it. This is the archetype of Jerome Crow. Don't he look a little bit like Clyburn from South Carolina? Look just like him. Don't make me do it side by side. Don't make me do it. I promise y'all, pull it up, put them side by side, and you be like, he do look like Stevie, act like him too. That's Jerome. So this is to place a face with the concept. That's Jerome Crow right there. So I wanted y'all to see that. But now let me go ahead and explain exactly what you guys just witnessed. Y'all, Jerome Crow is a term that I've coined to describe the behavioral construct that is the modern day equivalent of Jim Crow. Just think of it this way. Essentially, Jerome Crow was Jim Crow in blackface. So instead of calling it Jim Crow 2.0, I call it Jerome Crow because it got a nice little ring to it, right? Just Jerome Crow. You kind of, when you hear it, you be like, you know what? I think I kind of know what that is. You see, the behavior and activity of those who participate in the social construct of Jerome Crow, they function very similar to the Democrat angry mob-like behavior of Jim Crow. Except this time, instead of the white folks with the hoods on the horses, it's black people. And they don't have to hide their face. It's the black people who are the ones that are acting like the power-hungry tyrants. These are the individuals who've learned the tenets of oppression and subjugation well because they learned it from their Democrat oppressors. Oh, they picked up the tools of the trade and harnessed them really well. That's what Rocky's experiencing here is Jerome Crow. Because see, in the Jerome Crow paradigm, they will bully anybody. And everybody, if you don't fall in line with their oppressive, morally bankrupt, socially and spiritually corrupt mob type agenda, he coming for you. He will come for you. And just to refresh your memory a little bit, Jim Crow refers to a time in history when there was legalized discrimination, oppression, and just downright subjugation of black people by white Democrats on the basis of ethnicity. That's all it was. And during Jim Crow, which was during the time of Reconstruction and beyond, in fact, it started It started 10 years after the Emancipation Proclamation of 1865. And do you want to know what life was like back then, you guys? You had torment, social torture, bullying type behavior, all procured at the hands of the infamous Ku Klux Klan. Y'all remember them, right? That evil white supremacist group spearheaded by the Democrat Party. They represented the most ruthless organization of the Jim Crow era. Yes, the Ku Klux Klan was started by members of the Democrat Party in Tennessee in 1865. This is the same party that was the party of slavery, who was mad that they lost the war that this country fought itself over. Fought itself. Almost tore the whole country apart. They were mad, lost the war. Now that the slaves were now free, these Democrats, the ones who started the KKK, that's them. These people were well versed in evil. Just always devising new ways of evil. The Democrat Party, by way of their evil front organization, the KKK, y'all, they got a long history of committing crimes against Black Americans, particularly during the Reconstruction era and during the Civil Rights operation. But during Jim Crow, the KKK was notorious for doing something very specific. They were notorious for lynching. What is lynching? Anybody know what lynching is? Notorious for lynching. I'm going to tell you what lynching is. Lynching involved the extrajudicial killing of Black Americans, just solely based on the ethnic makeup of who they were. You Black? Yes, okay. The KKK Democrats, we can't forget that part. This is what they would do. They would hang, they would burn, they would torture their victims, oftentimes in public, as a way to intimidate and control the Black community. And when they wanted to keep you from doing something, or they wanted to ensure your compliance with one of their demands, lynching was their go-to tactic. Yes, it was high on the list. Well, fast forward to today with Jerome Crow. They do the same thing. It's just not as bloody, right? It's not as gruesome. You know, because under Jerome Crow, the Black Democrats, the Black liberals, they'll politically and socially lynch you. Oh, yes, they place a nice little behavioral noose around your neck. Oh, and they pull that bad boy real tight. I mean, it just be like, oh, and you be like, oh, I'm like, they won't even let you think about breathing.
Because Anton, if you remember years ago, I said something about blackface. You know, blackface, we got to be the Black person that looks like me in blackface is operationalizing themselves for white supremacy every day. But they'll come and tell you, oh, we got to watch that white guy out there. We got to watch them. Oh, because they're racist. They're bigots. Everything that come out of their mouth is to charge us up to operate against ourselves. That's why these conversations are so important.
Very quickly, while I got two more questions. Most people don't understand why what was able to happen with regards to the pandemic. And people have gotten in trouble, lost their jobs, been banned from media outlets and things of that nature when speaking about what happened during the C-19 pandemic. And a lot of people don't understand this, and I just wanted Kev and Brother Emmanuel, if you could speak to it. Hold on. This right here, because most people don't even know that this exists. And what this is called is the National Childhood Vaccine Injury Act. And it was called the Act in 1986. And it happened under Ronald Reagan. And a lot of what, Kevin, myself, yourself, Brother Emmanuel, and a bunch of other people have been fighting for is body sovereignty. You have a right to choose what goes on in your body. But this more so talks about how corporations, pharmaceutical entities, would not be held liable if there were injuries due to their vaccines that they manufacture. And I just wanted to know if you could briefly speak to our viewership, Kevin, if you would start, and then Brother Emmanuel, about what this means and what this is.
Around the same time that John D. Rockefeller seized U.S. media, he also hijacked U.S. medicine. When it was discovered that drugs could be produced from petroleum, America's top oil mogul ordered his army of propagandists to invert reality accordingly. Medicines used for thousands of years were suddenly classified as alternative, while the new, petroleum-based, highly addictive, and patentable drugs were declared the gold standard. After buying a German pharmaceutical company that manufactured chemicals of war for Adolf Hitler, Rockefeller leveraged his political influence by pressing Congress to declare natural healing modalities unscientific quackery. Rockefeller then took control of the American Medical Association and began offering massive grants to top medical schools under the mandate that only his approved curriculum be taught. Any mention of the healing powers of herbs, plants, and diet was erased from most medical textbooks. Doctors and professors who objected to Rockefeller's plan were crucified by the media, removed from the AMA, and stripped of their license to teach and practice medicine. Those who dared to speak out were arrested and jailed. When evidence began to emerge that petroleum-based medicines were causing cancer, Mr. Rockefeller founded the American Cancer Society, through which he suppressed that information. John D. Rockefeller is duly credited as the founder of the pharmaceutical industry, and the reason that medical error is currently the third leading cause of death in America. This is not an indictment against doctors. More than anyone, they are under the stranglehold of the single largest lobbying power in Washington. Every year, the pharmaceutical industry spends at least twice the amount as big oil to influence laws, policies, and public perception. Thanks to Mr. Rockefeller, the architect of American monopolies, no industry has more power over our lives than Big Pharma.
Well, this act is really simple. It indemnified. Now, every other drug you can sue. You can actually sue the inventor of it, but not vaccines. Your show is going to get cut off. I'm telling you now. You're talking about this. You're done, right? And I'm on your show. You're completely finished. So,
I knew when I brought up the topic what was going to happen, brother.
So what they did was the vaccine industry was dying on the vine because they were being sued. They were putting out terrible products. It was impacting our children, impacting adults and seniors. I mean, it goes on and on and on and on. You talk about medical racism. Oh my God. When it came to Black Americans, it's staggering what has happened to Black Americans in the pharmaceutical space or the medical space, right? But what they did was they lobbied, going back to what you said, Emmanuel, they lobbied. The vaccine manufacturers lobbied Reagan administration. Actually, Reagan didn't even want to pass this at one time, because it indemnified them. They got it passed. So now when you take their poison, right, that's why they did this emergency act thing to protect them from the longer position of getting sued. So what they did was they passed an act that indemnified them. You cannot sue them. You cannot sue them from giving you poison. That's it. They are protected, so they can give you anything and you can't sue them. Then they came back and said, oh, we have this vaccine court and we're going to take these extreme cases, and you know what we're going to do? That was bullshit, because it took them years and years and years and years to even win anything. So when those parents started seeing what was happening to their kids, this act actually stymied them from really going out into the market and changing it. If the Democrats or even the Republicans or anybody that understands this, the first thing they do should do is repeal this. They should repeal this, because our kids, Black kids, autism, instead of marching in the autism walks every year, talking about come celebrate autism with our kids, that's bullshit. You should be fighting against this act. You should be out there fighting with those other women that are fighting against this industry that destroyed their children. You should be out there saying, no, they should not be indemnified. They should pay a price for what they did to our kids. It's 1 in 10 in Newark and Union County. I think it's 1 in 8 kids now have autism. And predominantly those kids are boys. So what does that tell you about the future of the black man in this country? So that's it. So when black people are running out there to take their poison and saying, oh, they told me, oh, it's going to keep me safe. Well, guess what? You can't talk to me about racism no more. You can't talk to me about Jim Crow no more. You can't talk to me about white supremacy no more, because the infrastructure of white supremacy in the pharmaceutical industry is to fucking destroy your kids and destroy your lives. Excuse my language, it pisses me off. So that act there, right, was put in place so that industry can make money. That's why, Gates invested maybe 50 million. And when it was all over, his stock, when he sold out, it was worth 550 million. And killing us. And you know what our people were saying, the ones that are not awakened? Well, you know, it ain't got nothing to do with my body sovereignty. It's about protecting my health. Well, you already 300 pounds. You already got every comorbidity in the world. You're already taking 500 pills a day. Your kids are coming out of the womb fat because you feed them all that poison and GMOs and all of this toxic stuff. So you talking about you protecting your health. Well, you've been unhealthy for 30 or 40 years. So that act right there is diabolical. And black people don't understand it, and some white people don't understand it. But there were some women, and they attacked those women. And they say, oh, they anti-vaxxers. Oh, these privileged women talking about just their babies. No, they were talking about all of us, because the ones that were being harmed the most, Brother Shaheed, Brother Emmanuel Shaheed, was black kids. That's why in our neighborhoods, we're the sickest. We're the commodity to their wealth. Our broken bodies are the commodities to their wealth. Our poisoned bodies are the commodities to their wealth. They come up with names for all kinds of shit. And you know what we do now? Oh, you know, I got this, and my doctor told me to take this. And in 5 years, you can't walk, you can't talk, you can't think, you can't do anything. But you're going to tell me about white supremacy when you are absolutely the greatest employee, because you're not questioning. Dr. Sabi understands.
We're in a situation where absurdly and ludicrously, a government is ridiculously claiming that it is interested in saving lives and protecting people's health, and is harassing a man with a health disability and dragging him into court because he refused to bend the knee to this tyranny. But also think about the fact that at the very height of this alleged pandemic, back in April, there was no talk of compulsory masks. No. In all of May, when the figures were dying away to nothing, there was no talk of compulsory masks. In June, when there were no cases virtually at all, there was no talk of compulsory masks. Now, when it's all but disappeared, it's gone. They are now bringing in compulsory masks. And the reason for that is they need visible evidence of terror. Yes. They need to create a visibility of the terror that they want to inculcate into people. And that's why this is so important to them. These are really sinister people we're dealing with now. These are people that we previously thought of as people of our own kind, these politicians. But we have to start thinking of them now as alien beings, as hostile beings to the Irish people. They are the enemies of the Irish people. Clearly they are intent, because the mask is a way of denying the very human face of the person. It is a way of taking away the individual, unique humanity of each person and turning us all into zombies and restoring us to a kind of animal state, so that we no longer will look at each other coming down the street as Tom or Mick or Mary, my friend, my sister, my brother, but instead as a festering mess of bacteria and viruses, which is a danger to my health. Oh! You know, I have to get out of the way. This is what they are turning the human person into. With this whole thing. I'm not saying that our people are responsible for thinking this up. They don't have the brains for that or anything. But this is what they're implementing. This is the thinking behind it, to destroy the spirit of the human person, the individuality, the personality, the conscience, the character of the human person. That is what this project is about.
Elijah Muhammad said, what was the book we grew up listening? I'm reading.
How to Eat to Live.
How to Eat to Live. And then they revised it 20 years ago, 30, because they had to change it because the methodologies of what we were taught was wrong. Like, you don't eat wheat bread. That's not wheat bread. You know, wheat is a destructive force for us, right? The vegetable oil. Oh, don't use this oil, use vegetable oil. But now we know that was wrong, because the seed oil led to all of the diabetes we have and all the sickness that we have. But you know, you still have families taking canola oil and cooking their food in it. You know, you got families still taking vegetable oil and cooking their food in it. You know, you still feeding your kids cereal now. You still eating oatmeal, right? They poison our food source. Now the majority of the black cities in America, the largest city in America, our water source is poisoned. When we grew up in Newark, we had one of the cleanest reservoirs in the world.
Yeah.
So think about that. So that led into a whole nother thing. And that industry came back for a second feed, its third feed. So with this virus, that was their third feed. The other one was AIDS, right? AZT, right? This one is the vaccines and Remdesivir. So when your parents went in and was sick, they gave them Remdesivir that collapsed their kidneys. When your parents went in those hospitals, what did they do? They intubated them and killed them. And y'all couldn't stop lining up. Y'all couldn't stop turning over your bodies to the person that you said is your slave master. You couldn't, and then turned on brother Shaheed, turned on brother Anton, and put me on the international hit list. Because he said we ain't doing that shit. And now they all sitting around here talking about, well, you know, so-and-so died of cancer. His cancer came back. Well, no, his cancer didn't come back. It was triggered by that poison. It's explosive biologic.
The interesting thing is that the same person that was pushing AZT is the same person that was pushing the COVID vaccine, Dr. Fauci. This man, you know, I grew up in Newark. My father died, turned out to be a heroin addict. My mother was a heroin addict. My brother Akbar did 15 years in Royal State Prison, was a heroin addict in Warwick Prison. Came home, addiction, all three, died of the AIDS virus. And it was that AZT medicine that they gave them that took their life away. It wasn't the AIDS, it was that medicine. That's what actually killed them. Then Fauci and them come back now with COVID. All over the world. And people are suffering, just dropping dead now. And nobody wants to talk about it. But you know what else? You can't sue them. Because of this act, you can't sue them.
Book that mind control slaves were permitted any drug except marijuana. Why? It's an excellent question. The effects of marijuana on the brain are not conducive to mind control.
It doesn't mean you can't be traumatized and put under mind control. It just means it screws up the programming.
Because it actually opens neuron pathways in the brain. It expands thought. I'm not going to stand here and be...
During COVID, only person you seen in the unemployment line was the guinea pigs. Because they didn't use...
Say that again? Damn.
During COVID. See, everybody else during COVID that was out of work, Antoine, they was getting relief aid and unemployment benefits. Just go online because you shut in and apply. Well, then with COVID, with this vaccine, that you're supposed to have years of running tests to see how it works. But the guinea pigs was being put out of business, so they had to get into the unemployment line. And their complaint was that the humans took our job. They used to use us first before they used the humans.
Listen, they were doing studies, right, to see how Black Americans were going to respond, because their target was the poorest people on the planet and the permanent underclass, which are Black Americans in this country, right? But they allow all of the illegal immigrants to come in here without any of that.
Right. Now let's think about this. There was no social distance. They marching straight on. The government is flying them over the border at night into different cities and dropping them off.
Clothing them, financing them, feeding them,
hotels,
housing them. Guess what?
Government. See, these 5-star hotels and whatnot in New York, right? Prime hotels. They look at us strange if we walked in the hotel. But being that the government is guaranteeing them right now full capacity, top price, we'll pay you. So they stay in that capacity. The point I'm making is that if we don't get it now, in terms of our community as a whole, brother, this genocide that's taking place is going to clearly wipe us off the map.
Yeah, well, I did.
If this don't wake us up now, I mean, just like if you look, I grew up in Newark. I hate coming to Newark now, because Newark is not the city I grew up in. And if anybody think it is, then they are delusional too. It doesn't represent the love and the brotherhood and the sisterhood. Black oppression by black leadership and greed and selfishness and jealousy. So you there speaking out truth to people. They should be glued to the screen, because the information will help save their lives. So they want to silence that. I mean, if we talk about really how to eat to live and how to survive in this foolishness that's going on, man.
Well, brother Emmanuel, I said this earlier to a friend of mine. If we don't purge the guard dogs, if we don't purge them, we'll never move forward. Because see, the corporation of white supremacy is not the white guy on the corner, a white guy. No. See, people don't understand. They don't get that. They don't get that. Vanguard, all of the banking industry, all of it, that is the construct that we should be fighting, not each other.
Right.
We should be fighting them. That's how they win. They're masters at it, right? But here's the deal. We can't, as a group, can't get there to that discussion until we get rid of the gatekeepers. And I got all kinds of names for them, but we seriously.
What happened to the knowledge and understanding?
There was never any knowledge there, unfortunately. There was never any knowledge there. And
well, let's put it that people were under the misconception that there was.
I got to tell you, I don't think that's the case. I don't think that's the case at all. I think that Black Americans in this country are primed to be permanent slaves, and they don't want to break out of that cycle where they will find some sort of, deeper understanding of what their real responsibility is to each other. We have embraced all of white supremacy's theology. We own it. We live through it. We embrace it. Right. So I never expected anything different from that group, because they never earned anything. They never worked. They never did anything.
Now when you say we, you mean not you particularly, but the Black community has. So when you saying we, you talking from that perspective they have.
Yes.
Okay, because I ain't in there.
No. Hey, you gotta do the Birdie Mac. Hey, man, you gotta do the Birdie Mac.
Hold up, man. How these young folks say, hold up, my nigga. Hold up, my nigga. You hold up, my nigga. Wait, hey. I
love when you do Birdie Mac. Do the Birdie Mac, man.
No, you better understand something right here, boy. I ain't accepting that, Negro. You take that crap somewhere. Don't put me in that doggone we. You turn that we up. You turn that W upside down on the we and me. Me ain't taking that. You understand what I'm saying? You talking about the other folks. So I just want to make sure, because you done threw that we out there. You done threw that we out there, and the me ain't in that we. You feel what I'm saying? I see what these folks doing. I see what they're doing, man. I see it from the grave, and I don't like what I see. Y'all gonna make me come out there and be some. Y'all gonna make me come out there and be some. You know what? Some folks up here.
Wait a minute, though. You know what, though? And I appreciate you doing that, because
I love you, man. I
really need that. I actually need that, because
I ain't
it's so
trying to hear
scary.
that, man.
Ain't
no we nothing. Listen,
I hear you, brother.
Right now.
Let him go, Kev. Hold up, Kev. Let him go.
Y'all gotta let me get this part out here. You done started this here. Now let me tell you something, bro. I ain't got nothing to do with none of this foolishness. That's why I tell you, I ain't got a dog in this fight, because they ain't talking about my issues. My issue is not on their agenda. They have not talked to my issues as a Black man in America. You understand? The best you can do for me is economics. Give me the economic opportunity so I could play on an even playing field. Just like these banks, just like these corporations, just like these big lobbyist organizations, y'all keep talking that crap, telling me my vote is count, my vote count. How the hell can my vote count? It ain't adding up to nothing. When I look at the word counting, I mean, I'm counting something. I don't see nothing from y'all keep talking about the black man vote count. People died for me. Yeah. Abraham died for me. Isaiah died for me. Jeremiah died for me. Moses died for me. You understand what I'm saying? There's some deliverance in that. I see that. But I ain't see you jokers here talking about you died for me. And you keep talking about Dr. King died for you. Wait a minute. Dr. King said before he died, and he told Harry Belafonte, I done led my people into a burning house. So don't tell me about what he died for. I'm here living, and just like he saw his dream and he said it turn into a nightmare. See, they had understanding, man. King said we coming to Washington, D.C. to get a check. Where's our check? Just like everybody else. So our voices have lost the consciousness. Because if we had leadership that understood this, they would not be allowing our kids to be fed this foolishness in these schools, both in the classroom and in the cafeteria. They would have the nourishment. We had people in the community. Harlem used to have speakers on milk crates on the corner, teaching the people, not hustling the people. They were teaching the people. We don't have it. They was teaching the same thing with the Black Panther Party. The Black Panther Party, nobody cannot say this. And the same thing with the Nation of Islam and Muhammad Speaks and everything else. They showed you they had a health plan. The Black Panthers fed the people. They made sure they had proper medical care. They made sure that they was physical. They checked out these doctors. They called them into question if they was bringing foolishness in our community. There's nobody protecting the people today. They let them be subjected to this foolishness because they're not contesting it. They're not speaking what you're speaking right now. They're not willing to stand up and talk about these acts. They're not willing to talk about, just like how the heck, like I said, I ain't got a dog in this fight, but I can't see how any black man with any consciousness can support someone that you know was a part of a crime bill, and he called you predators, and he locked your fathers up, he locked your uncles up, he locked your mothers and them up 85% of your time, and he wanted more than that. I mean, it's time to come home and have a real sitting, man. It's really all of this. You look at all these acts, you look at all these laws. These people know what they're doing. They know what they're doing.
Well, I'm not going to even step on what you said. You're absolutely correct in all of those areas that you tried to cover. And I think that's why this show is so important and other shows like this. You know, people said to me the other day, well, Kevin, why are black people, out there what they're talking about their dirty laundry? I said, I have no idea what you're talking about. I said, if black Americans are having an issue about the condition of our females in this country, or the conditions of our families in this country, or to explore deeper conversations about how we connect, I don't have a problem with that. But I don't hear you saying anything about that girl. I think Alonia said wearing pajamas to school and buns in our, that was
bonnets.
I don't see when.
But Kevin, they got boys wearing them now too.
Excuse me?
Yes. Boys are wearing bonnets, brother, and they talking about they got their locks, they got their braids, and this, that. And I said, you need a do-rag, partner.
No, you don't need any of that. And let me just tell you this, though.
I'm not saying wear public. I'm saying to cover your head with when you go to bed at night.
But that's different. What you're doing, that's different. But this is all about deconstructing black feminism, right? And black masculinity. It's all psychological warfare, right? So the church, we don't even go there looking for this conversation anymore, because they're peddling. Look, they're still talking about white as snow. Everything in the Bible that's black is evil, and everything white in the Bible is, it's great. Just that language, that kind of language. You even got the African that's been colonialized since the day, but from the time I was born, before then, and now they got bigger churches, that's practicing, white theology, not real theology, but white Christian theology. And I have a problem with that now. I have a problem with that. So we can't even have those conversations. We can't
in
even
Ghana, in Nigeria, in the Sudans.
So
all over. What you say? All over. They ain't talking about the Congo. They ain't talking about all that stuff. They ain't talking about wherever they go. It's just to rape and take natural resources, minerals, oil, any type of even I wouldn't care if it's trees for lumber. Wherever there's a natural resource and a profit could be made, you can find the United States military.
One of the things, that's another discussion for another day, because we don't have a military to protect America and the Americans. We have a military to protect corporations' interests. And this country is falling apart because of this is over. Our country, listen, we are, if you look at Roman history, right, we're there already. You know, this nation of cities and states is all going to fall apart. I mean, it's falling apart. I should say it's falling apart already. But somebody put up there about 2025. There's this thing going on out there now, Project 2025. I want everybody at home to just settle down for a second, because that's what I call a psyop. Now they said the Heritage Foundation put something out that says that these are what these people are going to be working on in 2025. But nobody's talking about the lockstep plan that was done 5 years ago, 10 years ago, that was going to put us in our houses, lock us in our houses, strip us of our resources, strip us of our banking rights. Nobody said this whole 2025 thing is a farce. It's a psyop. And black people jumped all over it. Oh my God, they got 2025. What are you talking about? You're already at the bottom. You're already at the bottom. The illegal immigrant has more power than you. The LGBT community has more power than you. Every other nation has more power than you. And you talk about 2025. That's another, maximum sophisticated confusion. And they all out there running. You see the Democrats, they're out there running. Oh, we got to stop 2025. What the hell are you talking about? Did you see what we just went through? You see what we've gone through in the last 50 years? I mean, come on. Y'all really that naive? Y'all really just that stupid? We live in ignorance. We live in ignorance. And you got these people out there talking about 2025. I'm like, are you out of your mind? Have you looked at the last 50 years, the last 400 years, the last 300 years, last 200 years, last 100 years, last 25 years, God damn it, we've been living that.
That's right.
But what your black president told you, look, I'm going to sing a little Al Green for you. I'm going to call this White House and sing a little song for me. And when it's over, I'm going to be wealthy as hell. And every time I need to come and sucker punch y'all and sell y'all a banana in the tailpipe, y'all going to do it, because guess what? We all know who y'all are. 2025. You got to see these Negroes. 2020. What you going to do 2025? When you got more crime on your streets, you got more garbage on your streets, you got more failed education institutions on your street, you have no control of your household, you have no control of your children, and you talking about 2025.
You may not even make it to 2025.
That's right.
This is what I mean. This is what I'm trying to say. And that is the emotional thing that they do to us all the time.
This is the thing. This is the thing, right?
2025.
See, men, real men, look right through this. We know this is nothing but another war of distraction. So you don't think about what you need to be focused on. We got our sights set, brother. And that, our sights, we zoom to where we need to be focused. I don't care about this. I don't care what somebody else has an intention or what somebody else's agenda is. Okay, that's somebody's agenda. We got our agenda. We focus on our agenda. See, I'm not getting distracted by the party affiliations. I'm not getting distracted by these folks that come and want to use their mass propaganda tactics and what have you to cause all the confusion, to keep you distracted. Oh, this is what they about to do to us. It was like we've been there before. Reagan come in the White House. They show a parade of KKK marching in D.C. You understand what I'm saying? George Wallace, 101 for president. They showed XYZ. I mean, the list go on and on. Bush the father, when he came into the White House. Oh, now the CIA is going to upscale bringing in dope in all the black cities and this, that, and other, and arms. And we've been down this before, and we still standing. And it has, so therefore, I don't even need to hear that. I don't care about that crap. That I know why y'all pushing that. I know why y'all trying to make it an issue, you know, because that's that whole thing built around the propaganda. Everything is racist, but and whatnot, you know. So it's like, to me, it's like, doesn't make sense. Like during COVID, the man died, but he had the first 2 COVID shots. Well, it still helped him, but he died. But he died. He still was better off because he had the COVID shots. Well, I didn't have the COVID shots, and I'm still living. But he had both of your shots, but he died, but he still was better off because he had the shots. But he died, but he still was better off. You understand what I'm saying?
Now,
It doesn't make sense.
Now, you're saying that, right? It's very interesting because you're spot on. Now, by you saying that, people are going to say, well, you know, he don't know what he's talking about. Oh, yeah, you do know what you're talking about. Yes, you do know what you're talking about. We were the greatest experiment. We were the greatest experiment. We were the second phase of their war against humanity, war against children.
Depopulation. Depopulation.
It's a fact. And you know what? We lined up in spirit. Now, the people that were coerced, now we got to clean this up a little bit. The people that were coerced because they thought they were going to lose their jobs. Okay, I'm not going to step on your toes. I get that. But I would hope in the future that you understand that you could have stood up, because Anton Wheeler lost his job because he stood up. He was not going to play their game. And if more of us would have said, we're not no monster, all of it, it would have went away in one day. But those Negro whisperers can't help themselves. Them Negro whisperers, man, they can't help themselves. They be right there. Well, you know, we got to listen to the doctors. They don't understand the doctors that we knew when we were younger, right? That were focused on holistic health and all the things that brought value to it. Because you can't have economic power and you cannot have prosperity without health. You cannot have it.
Well, Kevin, they said you gotta trust the science. You gotta trust the science. But now this man Fauci, a few weeks ago, go before Congress and said there was no science to social distancing. There was no science to putting on a mask. Putting on a mask and standing 6 feet away did not help anything.
Look how many young people have been dying, 58, 45, 32. Look at all that. And then what they did to the senior population. Listen, what they did to the senior population in this country breaks my heart every time I see it, because I see it every day. I know what it is. I've been in this. I know what's happening to our people, right? And you still got people talking about, well, you know, we just didn't know. Why didn't you ask? Why didn't you ask? Why didn't you ask any questions? And the churches, the black churches, closed up their churches and zoomed in Jesus. And as soon as the pharmaceutical industry and the government said you can open back up and we'll pay you to trick your people to take the poison even more, they did it. They did it. How could you go to a church that talked about your Christ and his sacrifice, right? And talked about all the things you read in the Bible.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute here. Wait 1 minute here. I gotta say something about that deal. Let me say something. And I got some good people that I know that's in the church now. I know some good people that's in the church. But them jokers knew well. See, they ain't lose no money. They ain't lose no money during COVID. The government paid them. They paid them what their budget was. They got paid, brother. They got paid. They got paid. But you want to know something? You want to know something? Boy, them preachers is happy COVID is out of here because they didn't heal not one person during COVID. They didn't deliver one person.
Right.
See, they got exposed during COVID. They got exposed because they couldn't lay hands on nobody. I ain't gonna lay hands on nobody. That joker they were spooked. They didn't have no faith in the Creator or their deliverer coming to heal them. You understand what I'm saying? They got exposed. And most of these churches today, brother, are empty, half full.
You know
when
what?
they do live broadcast, they only shooting the first 2 rows and they stacking everybody up in the first 2 rows if they ain't putting no dummies up in there dressed up.
That's a very good point. That's a very good point.
But you understand what I'm saying? I mean, they didn't deliver nobody. They didn't deliver nobody. They can't. You ain't. Everybody lost their favor because they was exposed because of the hypocrisy that they've been practicing. So they were happy for a sin that when COVID finally left, man, they were trying to get the members back. You know, they need that money back up.
Well,
so the new church is the small, tiny church, the storefront church that the big churches used to smile and laugh at. But now their church is a little small church.
Yeah.
Because they done lost them people. The people ain't coming in there. Because they realize I don't need you to go to God because you ain't really helping deliver me. You can't even lay hands and pray and deliver. So they just became nothing but professional motivational speakers. That's all they are. They are not no spiritual deliverers. They are motivational speakers that use 3 scriptures when they get up and they done under 15 to 30 minutes. They finish. They're not going to stand up and teach the people.
All right, brothers.
They entertaining them. So our people, so the government, see this mass communication, this mass mind control, all of this is a part of it. They quick to tell you certain things. If you go to them and you try to say, man, we got to teach the people, they want to tell them, no, we got to give them bits and pieces. They not ready for it. How the heck you not going to be ready for truth when you dealing with death every day in your life?
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? You know, so it's the programming. They have bought into the concept to keep the people deaf, blind, and dumb. So that they too can profit off of that. And that's why they use that suffering message.
You keep saying that you're giving your money to God instead of telling the truth. You're giving your money to the pastor. Why you keep doing this here? Why you keep doing it? Leave God out of the equation, y'all, because y'all keep acting like God broke. This God money. God ain't giving you no money and then he gonna take it back. What's wrong with you? Whatever God gives you, he gives you to do what you want to do with it. Just say you want to give the money to the pastor and stop saying you're giving it to God, because God ain't broke. He owned the moon and Saturn and Pluto, y'all. He owned all the stars in the sky. And let me tell you this here. If he give you a building, he qualified to take care of it. He qualified to send somebody your way to pay the building off. That's the kind of God I serve. Now I don't know what God you talking about. The God I serve is rich. He's on the whole world. He don't need your money, not the God I serve. Now if your God wants you to give your money to the pastor, just say that. And stop saying, yo, God, you giving money to God like he broke and he needs your money. No, man needs your money, not God.
God is in you. And so I insisted to those people, there's no more God in me than in you. There's no more God in Jesus than there is in you. And in fact, it was not Jesus's purpose to show us that he was God's only child and that the rest of us were bastards. There are people who are more conscious of their divinity than others. This is really what I try to do in my ministry, make people conscious of their divinity. And when you become conscious of your divinity, then you begin to express it.
It is impossible for God to give you anything else because he has already given you everything. The disciples said, Lord, teach us to pray. And the very first word of the Lord's Prayer that Jesus taught them to pray was to say, what hour? Who left you out? The theologians wrote you out.
I thank you for what you said about, those institutions, because I don't see any value in them anymore. I mean, people always ask me, Kevin, how do you find your God consciousness? And I look at them, I say, breathe. Inhale God, exhale fear. Breathe. It's just that simple. Breathe. And then dial in. Dial in.
Kevin, that pie in the sky is over. You got to look for the God source inside of yourself.
That's right.
And you send out the right frequencies and the sine waves and the energy, then the evolution will occur. But you got to look at that God force inside yourself. See, most people don't realize this point here. I don't care what belief system you believe in. And none of it ever taught you to depend on a man. You understand what I'm saying? So you got people, when people realize that the same spirit, the same level of spirit that was put in Moses, Abraham, Muhammad, Yeshua or the Jesus. And all of the prophets and all the prophetess of scripture was put in each and every one of us. You just got to learn how to activate that. They no more favored than you. They no more delivered than you. You know, so the point I'm making is, see, this mind control is deep, man. This doesn't just go with the government and the agents of the government. You know, it's about controlling human beings.
Listen, I was telling somebody this the other day about, we had this conversation. You might have heard I might have had it with you about Bill Cosby. So they was like, well, Kevin, you know, Bill Cosby was a bad guy. I said, don't you ever talk about Bill Cosby to me ever again in your life. I said, what that man did for Black America and changing the image of what Black America, how it saw itself for decades. I said, if he had a sexual trias with someone, and that was an issue that he needed to resolve. But you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Let me give you an example of what I mean. When he created the Huxtables, right? He gave an image of Black life and Black families that was so important for us at the time. He had enormous impact. They had to take that off the air. They had to destroy him. Never mind about him buying NBC and all of that. That was a concerted effort. We're not supposed to think like that. We're not supposed to be families like that, because that's what I grew up with. I don't know what the hell y'all grew up with. I grew up like that.
Man, I grew up looking at women like when I was a kid, I loved when Diane Carroll came on.
Thank you. But I'll make a point here. Now, we went from Bill Cosby, when Bill Cosby was taking off, and all of those positive shows were taking off, because there was a lot of them on at that time. UPN 9 or something. It was beautiful, right? It showed an array of Black life that was beautiful. Guess what has been replaced with now? Reality TV.
Housewives of this city, housewives of that city, housewives of this city.
Oh, in every picture, in every movie,
and it's just like, it's like a bunch of hoes of each city.
In every movie, in every TV show now, every TV show right now is all about sex, guns. Now you even got your mamas training your kids on these shows to be drug dealers. Now the Black woman is the leader of the crime family. What the fuck? What? And y'all don't understand what those images are all about and who's driving those images? And you guys got to, Bill Cosby foresaw this. He said, look what's happening to your children. And you know what? We got some gatekeepers out there, the guard dogs. I got names from all day. Say, well, he wrong for talking about Black people like that. You're not Black. You've been, I swear to God, Emmanuel, you got to help me. I swear to God, majority of Black Americans on this planet has been body snatched. I don't think these are real Black Americans.
Oh, that's real. No, that happened. That has happened. Now, see, y'all about to bring, let me say something here, boy. I'm sick and tired of these jokers here. I don't know where the hell they came from. They need to go back wherever the hell they came from. I don't know these people. These people, I don't know where they come from. I don't know their mama, their father. Bro, they need to send them jokers back where they came from. I'm telling you, man, I don't know where they came from. And sometimes I be looking at my own doggone children. Who are you talking? Who are you? Where you from? You didn't raise up in here. I didn't raise you that way. I didn't give you that thought process. Where you get that behavior and conduct from? You understand what I'm saying?
I clearly understand what you're saying, but I don't think people understand how subtle the shift was, right? So we went from Bill Cosby, right, to reality TV.
Man, we went to sleep.
We went to sleep.
It's like you went to sleep and woke up the next day, and bang.
If you see rap music, look. The thing I laugh about when I see these rap artists that's almost 60 years old wearing those big chains and jumping all of that, I'm like, go get a life. Go find something to do. Because guess what? Their kids are going to USC. Their kids are going to the top colleges, right? Now, but the stuff they left behind, the byproduct of what they did, look at it. Look at it.
Yes, sir.
Look at it. And that's when I see these rappers. You see Jay-Z, I don't know, he's going through a midlife crisis. You know, he walking around with all of this plaited head, and people are actually acknowledging him like he's somebody. He's nobody. That's not the best example for us. That's not the best example for us. Those people are not the best examples for us. Now, white supremacy wants them kicked out. They're done. They're gone. Let's line up some next fools.
Yeah. Well, I thank you, Brother Anton. I really do.
I thank you
really
too.
appreciated this
enjoyed
tonight.
this. Hey, Emmanuel, you made my night tonight. I'm gonna feel good.
Hey man, I can't wait to cut this up, man, because I'm just going straight for the Bernie Mac. I'm going for the Bernie Mac. Once he come on, he say talk about our ball heads. Wait till I get Gene. Wait till all four of us together, man.
But you want to know something? Just think about this here, right? It almost brings tears to my eyes.
Mm-hmm.
We had comedians that meant something and taught something. If you look at Richard Pryor, Red Fox, Mom's Mabel, you understand what I'm saying? We had comedians, man, that when you left their show, they activated some change in what you was doing and how you was doing it.
Yeah, man.
You feel what I'm saying? Even I mean, they saved some. I know Bernie Mac saved some marriages. Them sisters went home and took care of business after seeing Bernie Mac. You understand what I'm saying? Do you? You know Bernie Mac? Do you? You do? You
Man, I needed this today, man.
You make a good point too about that. But
man, I'm a comedian.
But you know what though? I think this is fine. But let me tell you, me and Anton had this conversation one day, and so I had said to Anton, I said, I don't like what's his name, Anton, the comedian we talk about all the time,
Dave Chappelle.
So they said, well, Kevin, you should love. I said, no, I don't like him. They said, why? I said, because he's very clever, very smart guy. I'm not attacking his intelligence, but he still uses the N-word. That's number one. And number two, he gets up on the stage, he talks about all of this stuff, but as soon as they told him to go take that experimental biologic, he did it. And then he gets on the stage and say, well, I did something that's so stupid. No, because Richard Pryor wouldn't have done that. Okay, Richard Pryor to say, I went to Africa, I saw my people ain't using that word no more. So every time he uses that word.
Jamie Foxx tried not to do it.
Right. Every time Jamie Foxx is something special. We got to talk about him.
But he tried not. You understand what I'm saying?
Right, I understand. And so now people say David Chappelle is funny. I said, no, he's not. I say he's not funny at all. Now he's a satirist. He can talk. I think he's funny to a point. But see, I get to the root of your comedy. I get to the root of your comedy. And guess what? I'm not buying that. I'm not buying it, because if you're still using that word and if you're still calling dog, that is not something we should accept. There's been no evolution. I'm sorry. This whole narrative.
Flip that dog around. You got to flip
this
that
whole narrative
dog
about
around.
him turning down 50 million. He had to go there. Okay, I'll buy that narrative. But guess what? We all have a responsibility when we're on those stages, right? To be clear and be focused, even in our comedy. Richard Pryor, we go back and look at Richard Pryor stuff now. He tells these wonderful community stories. He tells us, and remember, he said, I'm not using that word anymore. I'm not using, and it comes out of his mouth all the time. And I'm like, why are you using that word? Why are you using it? Why do we have to use that as a sense of endearment? And then when he got up there and talked about the COVID shot, I was like, I called Anton, I said, I won't be watching this guy anymore. And because I would challenge him on that. Because you speak forked tongue. You speak forked tongue. And I'm not accepting that anymore. See, now that's what I mean. We have to say we're not accepting it anymore. Now, if we get if we go and sue the record companies for using that word like the Jewish community would do, if we would get the black people, they would stop using that word if we sue those record companies. And all that crime that they promoted, all of that had a detrimental impact on black life. We should be suing them, not embracing it.
Well, put a pin in that, Kev, because that's one of the things we're talking about doing, is definitely getting a group of states, community groups, and whatever together. And we're going to do a class action lawsuit against the music industry. And we also talked about, Brother Emmanuel, I don't know, I think I mentioned it to you before, about either copywriting or something of that nature, the N word, the B word, the H word. It was another word. Because, people don't understand things unless they have consequences. And unfortunately, what society has been able to do is turn on negativity and make it look like it's rewarding. And because the bottom line of the oligarchs is much more different than what our bottom line is, we always fall for the okie doke when it's all said and done. Hey, my brothers, man, I just want to say I appreciate you both, man. Thank you for coming on this evening. And as I leave everybody, I'm just going to say this. There's a documentary that I often reference, and it's called Everything is a Rich Man's Trick. If you have the time, I ask that you take the time to look it up. It's on YouTube. It's pretty long. It's pretty long.
4 hours.
It's pretty long, but it's
I
worth.
just want to let you know, I sat through it.
I'm glad you did, brother.
I sat through it. You know,
Right.
I took a break or two. I gotta be honest with you. Some of it you gotta literally just step back from, and let it just settle in.
Yeah, man.
Some of it you gotta take away. So it's 4 hours basically. So you need to just break it up. You watch all that other foolishness, reality TV. You understand? Just break it up, and start off. You can do a half an hour, come back, half an hour, come back, but. It's pretty. You're gonna need your notebook.
Well, it's another one, guys, that I found, and I don't remember who I shared it with. There was another one that is, it's great. It's like a 5-part series, and I think if we were doing lecture series in our communities, we can actually show this down and have dialogue about it. That's what we used to do when we grew up. Remember, Emmanuel? We should.
Let me tell you something, man. That's an interesting point you made, and I'm not gonna say anymore. I remember, man. I used to go to Essex County College. My movie day was going to Essex County College on a Saturday. I wasn't a student there. I just was a resident of the city. And I used to go into the library and just pull out old tapes of Black historians and sit in the library and watch them.
How many of our community takes their kids to museums, take their kids to the Schomburg, talk about how they stole all of our history and brought it into? We don't even have those discussions.
We don't even when our kids came up, man, they loved when we went to Barnes and Nobles, because Barnes and Nobles had that kids section.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
I lived in Barnes and Nobles, man. I lived in Barnes and Nobles.
They loved Barnes and Nobles, man. They loved the library, but they loved when we went to Barnes and Nobles because they get some cookies and some cake, because Barnes and Nobles got that concession. So they was getting the storytelling and reading the books and hey, Dad, I want this cake, I want these cookies, this, that. No, what can I do? They get the cookies and cake, but they was filling their mind up. You understand what I'm saying? They knew that knowledge was power. Like my kids
when I was 18, 19, 20, 21, 25, 27, 20, I think I was in my early 20s. I created a library at Blessed Sacrament School up in Newark called the Luxor Library. And I went and recruited and got all of these manuscripts. And when the kids wanted to go and learn about Black history, African history, global history, they were able to go into that library and read. I did that back in the 1980s, I think early 1990s.
Yeah.
When I spent my own money taking Black children all over the country doing a Black history tour, I took my own money and took Black kids from Newark to Washington and all over that area to show them their history. Not slave history, but their totality of their history, right? So I've been investing in this stuff all my life. And what I'm seeing is that Black families don't understand that it's our responsibility to teach our kids history.
That's right. That's right.
Not the school. Wait, we used to go to church and get that. Not anymore. Because none of the pastors in those churches even understand what the hell we're talking about here.
Brothers, I appreciate you, man. Thank you for joining me for this therapy session this evening. I want to say, I listen, y'all brothers, y'all should be charging about $4,000 an hour, man, because y'all help a brother relax. I love you both, man. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in.
Thank you, brother.
All right, brother Manuel is there, brother Kevin. Thank you so much. And I just want to say, I put the information in the feed. I put the link. It's on YouTube. Everybody should take the time, in my humble opinion. If you really want to understand where we are and what this world and what power is about, watch the documentary. Watch it. No one's taking it down yet. You know why? Because people aren't watching it.
Watch it again tonight.
People watch the documentary. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Anton Wheeler, your host of Voice of the People United Community Forum. I thank you so much for joining us this evening. Thanks for coming in and viewing with us, and we hope to catch you next show. All right, everybody.